What if the Republic used Space Marines during the Clone Wars? Let's explore the depths of it in the video. Palpatine watches Lama Su enter his office and bow his head.
Prime Minister. I hope you've read the report I sent you regarding your clone troopers. Indeed, Chancellor. I am pleased you have found their performance satisfactory in the recent Battle of Geonosis. Satisfactory is just the beginning. I want perfection. Cloning bounty hunters was merely a stepping stone. I'm asking about my special project. Yes, Chancellor. Their training is advancing well. They should be ready for deployment soon. Excellent. This project will spearhead a much larger plan. Continue your work and keep me updated.
Lama Su bows and heads out, leaving Palpatine to ponder everything. It's only been a few weeks since the Clone Wars began, but there are already reports of chaos and bloodshed across the Outer Rim. Dooku has done well, allowing Grievous to leave a trail of destruction that left swarms of refugees rushing to the core in search of safety. He already put Commander Fox in charge of searching for candidates for his new plan. Those strong and fit among the young refugees, and ones who are not likely to be missed if they disappear. Soon enough, hundreds of them have been gathered, all with the chance to fight to liberate their homeworlds. He promised to make them strong enough to beat back the CIS and augment the powerful clone army. He promises them whatever it takes to get them to join him. Wealth, security, revenge. As these hundreds grow, Palpatine takes them to a secret base away from prying eyes. There he orders Lama Su to begin transferring his secret project. The results are almost perfect. He paces the floor and finds 20 identical versions of himself in the days of his youth. These clones were bred in secret along with the Jango Fett clones, sporting the same inhibitor chips that made them loyal to him. This was only amplified by the armor they wear. They were bulky and created from reverse-engineered Sith artifacts, making them appear like giants. Not only did they increase strength and speed, but they also make them more aggressive. The recruits share his awe as they admire these soldiers. Palpatine, careful to hide his face, addresses them.
I see many of you are admiring these soldiers. These Space Marines have been created using the latest technology from across the galaxy. They will become the spearhead that breaks this separatist cause. And what if I told you that you can join these ranks?
The refugees all lean closer, their eyes shining as they listen closely to Palpatine's words.
Those that stand before you are simply the officers of the Space Marines, Primarchs. You will fill their ranks. If you will agree to join, you will receive the greatest training, augmentations, and equipment the galaxy has to offer, and serve as one of the greatest fighting forces in existence.
Almost all step forward, standing ready and causing the Chancellor to smile. Those who don't are allowed to leave, and are then discreetly eliminated by the Primarchs as their first mission. The rest undergo training the likes of which they have never seen. Palpatine models this training after those of the Sith. Trainees are deprived of food and other necessities, thrown into harsh situations, and often made to duel each other just to survive, to teach them survival skills, cunning, and combat training. The purpose of this is to instill the new Space Marines with an innate desire to kill and do whatever it takes to serve their Chancellor. This results in a high mortality among the recruits, with less than half of the original batch surviving. But those who prove themselves worthy undergo augmentations that further increase their strength, survival, and speed, turning them into giants. Their Primarchs also imbue them with a bit of their essence, linking the Marines to their Primarch. To compensate for their lack of Force abilities, they are connected to nodes that connect them to their power armor. Lastly, he implants them with inhibitor chips, just like the clones and his Primarchs. When that is complete, Palpatine readies them for deployment, and just in time for the Second Battle of Geonosis. With such a huge strike force being assembled, Palpatine decides to mix them in, sending several chapters of these Space Marines, including one of his most trusted Primarchs, Horus. The battle was not going well, as the Republic barely established a landing point with only Commander Cody and Obi-Wan managing to reach the landing zone. They form a loose perimeter with ATTE walkers, creating a circle for them to land. But all around them, Geonosian warriors buzz overhead, raining sonic blasters while waves of droids advance on foot with tanks. Badly wounded, Obi-Wan tries to rally his troops, cutting down anyone who gets too close to their position. Cody tries to reorganize the defenses, closing the gaps as they try to hold the line. They were promised reinforcements, but there was no sign of Anakin or Ki-Adi-Mundi.
General, we're being overrun. We must keep fighting. There's no backing down now.
But even as he speaks, a Geonosian cannon scores a direct hit on one of the ATTEs, sending a massive walker toppling over and nearly crushing them. They're only saved by Waxer and Boyle pushing them out of the way. Through the gap, droids begin to pour through. Then, the ground begins to shake. At first, it seems like the droids advancing. But then all pause and look at one another in confusion. And then they appear. From behind the rocky outcropping to the west, massive armored figures emerge. Space Marines, giants in dark, hulking power armor, run forward. At their head, a figure larger than any other, his armor adorned with golden sigils and dark crimson livery, leads them. Horus. Their bolters roar, spewing explosive rounds that tear through the droid rank. Horus himself is a force of nature, his massive power sword cleaving through B-2 battle droids and single-handedly plugs the gap in the clones' line. The clones and Jedi can only watch in stunned amazement as the tide of the battle shifts in a matter of moments. Geonosian warriors swoop down to attack, but their sonic blasters are useless against the Marines' thick armor. They are swatted from the sky with ease, their battle wings snapping like twigs under the Marines' crushing fists, or cut to ribbons with the chainswords. Horus raises his hand, and a brilliant beam of energy lances out, obliterating a Geonosian cannon emplacement. His voice, amplified by the Vox grill of his helmet, booms across the battlefield.
Forward, my brothers. Leave none standing. For the glory of Chancellor Palpatine.
The Marines surge ahead, their momentum unstoppable. Clone troopers rally and push forward, adding their blaster fire. The droids cannot withstand the sheer fury of the Marines' assault. As the last of the droids fall, Horus looks at Obi-Wan and Cody, then salutes.
Your reinforcements, General. I trust we have arrived in time.
Yes. Yes, you have. That was impressive, sir.
The Chancellor has high hopes for this campaign, Commander. We shall not disappoint him.
These developments are not unique here either, as all across the planet the Space Marines are deployed, and everywhere they appear, the droid army is crushed. Under the Primarch's leadership, even the most well-defended strongpoints fall to the Republic. With their debut, Palpatine explains that these soldiers are specialized commando units created by the Republic to supplement its military, acting as their elite forces. Many welcome this news upon seeing their success, and soon they are deployed all across the galaxy. Battlefields become massacres of droids and CIS allies, and the Separatists find themselves pushed back on all fronts. But while they are successful in their war, many are also concerned about the Space Marines. Some of the Primarchs and their soldiers begin to display certain mutations and deficiencies, such as experiencing moments of pure battle lust, called the Red Thirst. These mutations come from prolonged exposure to the Sith artifacts in their armor, mixed in with the augmentations causing them to become unstable, with some unfortunate warriors succumbing to these mutations. Among those who notice these issues is Horus, who learns about these mutations and believes they are caused by Count Dooku, the only Sith Lord he knows about. He suspects the Count somehow tainted their armor and begins working to find him. Meanwhile, Dooku is horrified at the reports he learns of the Space Marines, not only because of their success. He knows full well they are created with the use of Sith artifacts and realizes how powerful a force they are and how their presence swings the balance of power in Palpatine's favor. Even other dark side users like Mother Talzin see the danger and join forces with Dooku to try and stop Palpatine. As the war drags on, the Primarch directs all his efforts to find him and eventually tracks him down to Dathomir and moves to confront him. Horus and Primarch Sanguinus lead a small strike force of space marines through the gnarled woods of Dathomir, their heavy footfalls thudding against the cracked, barren ground. There is an eerie stillness in the air, a silence that seems unnatural.
Keep your eyes open, brothers. We know Dooku is here. He won't escape us this time.
Sanguinus moves beside him, his elegant, angelic visage a stark contrast to the brutal landscape around them. His wings are tucked close to his back as he scans the area.
There is something wrong here. I sense a darkness, a presence beyond Dooku's.
Before Horus can respond, the ground beneath their feet erupts in a geyser of red smoke, and a chorus of unearthly wails fills the air. Shadowy figures materialize from the mist, their eyes glowing with a malevolent light. The Night Brothers and Night Sisters appear, holding crude weapons and dark magic.
Ambush!
Marines form a tight circle, bolters firing while Night Sisters respond by summoning green magic that deflects their attacks and summoning electric bolts. Mother Talzin steps forward, her eyes blazing as she raises her arms, summoning dark tendrils of magic that lash out at the Marines.
You dare invade my world, servants of the false emperor.
We serve the Chancellor, witch.
You serve an illusion.
The Marines press forward, their bolters and chainswords cutting through the ranks of the Night Brothers. At their head is Savage Opress, a hulking warrior and the only one who can match their aggression and size. He stands at the center, forcing them back and cutting through Marines with his lightsaber. Around them, witches weave illusions and curses. A squad of Marines is engulfed in dark flames, their screams echoing through the air as they collapse, writhing on the ground. It's as if the planet itself is fighting alongside them. Horus stands tall amidst the chaos, cutting through advancing Night Brothers, while Sanguinius's weapon moves in a shining arc through the darkness.
You will not find victory here, giant. Only death.
Count Dooku steps from the shadows, his crimson lightsaber igniting, and slides between Marines, cutting them down in lethal grace. Horus and Sanguinius lock eyes. They charge together, a storm of fury and power, their combined might driving Dooku back. Although he tries to defend himself, their strength is overwhelming, and when chainsword meets lightsaber, Dooku is thrown back and falls to his feet. Horus advances, but Talzin's magic lashes out, ensnaring Sanguinius in dark tendrils that writhe and pulse with malevolent energy. He roars in defiance, his wings straining as he tries to flap off. This forces Horus to stop and slash at the tendrils, freeing his friend. But he then feels a bolt of lightning striking across his chest as Dooku advances. The Count slashes across his chest in a crisscross pattern, but this doesn't stop him. Sanguinius leaps at him and knocks Dooku to the ground. As the two grapple on the ground, he begins to strangle the Count until Talzin unleashes a barrage of green lightning at him, letting it course through his armor. Horus roars out, but then Talzin unleashes a powerful shriek, sending the signal to her Night Sisters. Among them is old Daka, who howls, and suddenly the hordes of undead burst from the trees and face the Primarch. Horus turns, his eyes blazing with rage, but a wave of dark energy slams into him. His sword flashes back and forth, hacking through their ranks and cutting down dozens of the zombies at once. But for everyone that falls, another takes its place, and they begin to surround him, swarming him and burying him in the dead. Once he is immobilized, Talzin and Dooku both unleash their powers, burning through the zombies and striking the warrior underneath until the entire mass stops moving. With the two Primarchs immobilized, Talzin begins casting her spell. With a flick of her wrist, Talzin conjures a dark, swirling vortex of energy. The air around them shimmers as the spell takes hold, and the world around them seems to dissolve. Images flicker before their eyes, scenes of Palpatine cloaked in shadow, manipulating events from behind the scenes. They spot him meeting with Dooku and Talzin, forming a secret plan and plotting to rule the galaxy. Horus and Sanguinius struggle against the vision, but they are powerless, trapped in the spell's grip. They see Dooku kneeling before Palpatine, then the Sith Lord's true form.
No, it cannot be.
No, you lie.
As they struggle against their grip, Talzin probes into their very being, studying how their bodies are twisted and altered. There she spots the inhibitor chips influencing them and channels her magic to shatter them, just as the visions continue. It shows them the creation of the Space Marines, the Sith artifacts infused into their armor, and the dark rituals performed in secret to bind them to Palpatine's will. They see their brothers, twisted and corrupted by the power coursing through them, succumbing to madness and mutation.
This is the truth, warriors. Your precious Chancellor cares nothing for you or the Republic. You are his puppets, his weapons of conquest.
The vision fades, and they are left kneeling, the weight of the revelation crashing down on them like a tidal wave. Sanguinius stares at Dooku, his eyes filled with a mix of horror and rage.
You lie. I will not believe that the Chancellor would do such a thing.
Fool, are you truly so deluded? Search your emotions. You know it to be true.
Horus roars defiantly as well, but pain suddenly flares through their minds as the inhibitor chips break. The pain is searing and relentless, but they endure, their wills unbroken. As the magic fades, they find themselves free, their minds clear for the first time in years. The two think back, recalling the memories of orders Palpatine gave them, their training, and how sadistic they seemed, how he seemed to revel in the chaos they caused, and it seemed more like the Sith instead of the Jedi. Although he claimed it was necessary to create warriors, the actions are undeniable.
Then why show us this? Why not just kill us?
Because you have been deceived, but you may yet serve a greater purpose.
Your brothers are also trapped, forced to serve a darkness that you cannot channel yourself. Lead them against Palpatine, and perhaps that will change. I will never serve such a darkness. But I cannot allow this man to continue his plans.
Make no mistake, though. This is simply an alliance of convenience. We work together simply to defeat Palpatine.
So be it.
But with these four, they begin forming a coalition to stand against Palpatine. Savage is sent to search for his brother to add his strength. Meanwhile, Talzin allows Dathomir to be used as a base. With Horus acting as a war master, he discreetly redeploys Space Marines to this sector, allowing them to turn them to their side. As all the Space Marines in Horus's legions have his essence within them, Talzin can reach out to them and influence them while weakening Palpatine's hold on them. Soon, the entirety of Horus and Sanguinius's legion have fully defected, and they begin working to influence the other Primarchs, managing to break a handful and convincing them to join him. Now freed from Palpatine's influence, Horus grows curious about the power that gives him such strength and begins learning about the dark side of the Force, studying the Sith with Talzin and Dooku. Although he is not Force sensitive, he continues to learn, serving as their acolyte. Meanwhile, Sanguinius remains staunchly against these powers and focuses only on defeating Palpatine. He is disgusted at what he is, longing to be free of this burden, but realizes that can only happen once they defeat the Chancellor. By the time Savage returns with Maul, the pair have converted several Space Marine legions and are ready to strike. The Sith coalition gathers and prepares to move on Coruscant, with Sanguinius and Horus's legions spearheading the assault. Explosions ripple across the planet's endless spires as Sanguinius's warriors, driven mad by the red thirst, rip through the streets. They swarm the overstretched garrison, slashing through clone troopers as their eyes burn with crimson fury. Talzin's spell has twisted them, awakening a primal hunger that drives them to tear through clone troopers and planetary defense forces alike. Even the Jedi can barely contain them, as their sheer numbers beat back the Jedi defenders, throwing them into chaos. But while that would be a problem, Horus's legions move in disciplined waves, supporting Sanguinius's berserkers as they carve a path of destruction through the heart of the Republic defenses. The Marines' bolters thunder, shredding through barricades and scattering defenses. The clones fight back valiantly, but they are hopelessly outmatched. But it's no use. Sanguinius himself, wings spread wide and eyes blazing, leads the charge. He tears through the defenses with ruthless efficiency, his power sword slicing through troopers like paper. Unlike the rest, he is not affected by the red thirst, for he needs his wits about him for what happens next. Just as the garrison's defenses begin to crumble, chaos erupts as Maul's criminal army of cutthroats and mercenaries burst out from the lower districts, stretching them even further as they advance from the lower districts to the surface. Once he sees his work is clear, Sanguinius leaps off the edge and flies off, leaving the other Primarchs. He soars to the Senate district, where the rest of his co-conspirators are waiting. His face burns with rage as he regards them.
I sacrificed many in my legion for this plan. I hope it works. The spell Mother Talzin cast will wear off once the job is done.
Beside him, Savage, Dooku, and Horus stand ready as they slip through the Senate building. He senses them coming, the dark energies of his enemies swirling through the Force like a gathering storm. The massive double doors of the Senate chamber explode inward, and Horus and Sanguinius step into the vast, dimly lit space, followed closely by Dooku, Maul, and Savage. The tension in the air is palpable as they fan out, their eyes locked on the figure at the far end of the chamber.
Palpatine, your time has come. The galaxy will be free of your lies.
My wayward sons. Do you truly believe you can stop me? Here, in my lair?
Sanguinius spreads his wings, his eyes blazing with fury. The Sith Lord's eyes flash with malice as he lifts his hands. Lightning erupts from his fingertips, a storm of dark energy crackling towards them. Horus and Sanguinius dive apart, their armor scorched as they barely dodge the lethal bolts. Maul and Savage charge forward, lightsabers igniting. Sidious moves with terrifying speed, his red blade flashing to parry Maul's strike. The Night Brother snarls in fury as he tries to push forward, but Palpatine crackles and kicks Maul back before turning Savage. The big warrior spins his blade in a whirlwind to try and cut him down, but Palpatine isn't fazed and leaps over it and kicks Savage against the back. He turns just as Horus runs up and brings the blade down. His strength is overwhelming, and Palpatine feels his back trembling as he tries to stop the attack. Instead, he changes tactics and lets out a spark of lightning that throws Horus back and gives Palpatine a chance to recover.
You dare challenge me? You are nothing.
Dooku steps forward, his attacks lacking strength, but making up for it in elegance, meeting it all and moving with Sanguinius, striking with precision and grace. The two attack from either side, forcing the Sith Lord to constantly twist and turn to avoid their attacks. Finally, Sanguinius' sword glances at Palpatine's side, leaving him wincing in pain. Maul and Savage hurry to try and finish him off, but the Chancellor lets the anger fuel him as he unleashes a powerful burst of the Force that throws Sanguinius and Dooku back. Maul leaps over and Savage crouches low.
Still so weak, my old apprentice. Did you think you could match me?
Horus roars, charging forward, his power sword crackling with energy as he swings it at Sidious. The Dark Lord's eyes flash with amusement as he leaps aside, spinning and kicking out with a burst of force energy that sends Horus crashing into a column before turning to Maul. Sidious ducks under Maul's swing and sidesteps Savage's strike, his movements a blur of speed and precision. He turns, slashing Savage across the chest and sending the Night Brother staggering back, his armor smoking from the strike. Savage, recovering from the attack, lets out a furious roar and charges, his lightsaber raised high, but Sidious is faster. He sidesteps, his lightsaber slashing out in a vicious arc across his waist. Savage freezes, his eyes widening in shock as his body crumples to the ground, lifeless. Maul's scream of rage echoes through the chamber as he lunges at Sidious, his strikes wild and frenzied as Maul loses himself to his anger. Sidious bats his blade aside with contemptuous ease, his free hand shooting forward to seize Maul by the throat.
You were always a disappointment, Maul. I should have killed you long ago.
Let him go, Palpatine.
With a flick of his wrist, he hurls Maul across the chamber, the former Sith crashing into the far wall. Dooku, seeing his allies falling, renews his attack, his strikes desperate and furious. He throws a barrage of lightning, but Palpatine unleashes his blast and the two connect in a thunderous explosion. Sanguinius leaps through the attack and slashes at him. Palpatine ducks under the attack before meeting it head-on. Their blades clash in a massive shockwave. Sanguinius tries to wrap his wings around Palpatine to prevent him from escaping, but the Chancellor spins around, slashing their tips and causing the Primarch to scream in pain. He stumbles back, and Palpatine grabs him by his armor and lifts him up. Without another word, he drives his lightsaber into Sanguinius' chest. The Primarch's eyes widen as it pierces through his armor, and then stares down at the hole in his chest before he stumbles to the ground and shudders. Seeing his friend fall, Horus roars in defiance, his power sword raised as he deflects the lightning. As they clash, Horus bats it aside and then begins to push forward. There is a change in the Primarch as he moves with blinding fury, as if fueled by the dark side. Palpatine gasps as none of his attacks seem to land. Despite all his best efforts, Horus's defenses remain strong while his movements begin to weaken. In desperation, he throws another burst of lightning, but Horus raises his sword and blocks the attack. His blade seems to glow a sinister red as Horus shoulder rams Palpatine and sends him toppling over. The force of the blow is bone-crushing, and Palpatine's broken body stumbles on the ground. Without hesitation, Horus reaches down and grabs the Sith Lord and pulls at his head until it tears free from his body. He turns to face Maul and Dooku, who both stare in surprise. He drops Palpatine's head to the ground while the Chancellor's body drops with it.
Your power is impressive. Mother Talzin would find much use for you. Indeed. Though you cannot channel the Force, you may be a powerful acolyte if you were to join me, Horus.
Save it. As I told you before, this was simply an alliance of convenience. Now we are done.
He picks up his friend's body and cradles it tightly before sending signals to his soldiers to break off and retreat. Without another word, Horus strides off into the darkness. That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.